Hello and welcome, my friends and colleagues. My name is Dr. Vince Leone, and welcome to this webinar, how to get 10 to 20 high value in the $5,000 per case fee range. So high value, high quality new patients every single month with predictability and without spending a fortune on marketing. Now, really quick, if you could just let me know that you can hear me okay and that the video is, full screen. You should see essentially welcome on your screen. If you could just let me know in the comments, that would be awesome. Okay, great, good to go. All right, now this is especially for chiropractors who are looking to create more freedom in their lives, right? Freedom of time so that you're not chained to the office 24/7 or like during the holiday season. Freedom of energy so you don't feel wiped out at the end of the day and your body isn't broke down when it comes time to retirement. And then finally, freedom of wealth, right? So that way you can enjoy life right now in the present, as well as continually putting money away for a safe and fun retirement. In fact, I'm going to call this the Practice Freedom Case Study because that's exactly what this information can provide for you. We're going to cover some key things in this webinar that will literally give you the roadmap to creating these freedoms in practice, such as how to become an in-demand expert, add $20,000 to $50,000 in cash every single month so that you can stop worrying about insurance. We're going to go over my simple four-step system to literally create riches in niches and add high-value cash-based services to your practice easily and profitably. And then finally, what most doctors probably showed up to hear is I'm going to pull back the curtain on what I've learned through $3.5 million spent or what I consider invested in advertising that propelled our practices, because together our practice and two others, collectively we call it each other are the group Sound Pain Solutions, but to each practice well over 7 figures in annual revenue. And specifically, we're going to cover my Fortune 5 pack of marketing strategies that I currently use with clients to help you generate 10 to 20 high value, high quality new patients month in and month out with predictability and without breaking the bank, right? So again, I am your host, Dr. Vince Leone. Thank you so much for attending. This is going to be a lot of fun and it's going to be very productive. But if you're frustrated in practice right now, maybe you have friends and colleagues that are doing better than you, don't worry. I understand. And I've been there, frankly, but you're in the right place right now. And here's a very important point. No one's better than you, okay? They typically just know something that you don't. And that's what I want to help solve today. Does that sound good? Awesome. Let's move on. Now, why is this information so important right now? Well, I believe this information is crucial right now for 3 simple reasons. Number one, the times have changed rapidly, right? The new normal, it almost makes your head spin. And in these situations, you either adapt or struggle, or sometimes some doctors go out of business, okay? And I don't want you to struggle or worse. I want you to thrive, and it's all possible. The second reason is the average chiropractor's income is pretty darn low, right? According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average chiropractor makes just $74,000. Now, I've heard other numbers up to say $120,000, but regardless, right? These are not good numbers. And I don't think any of us envision putting in all the work and racking up all those loans just to be, in what I consider kind of scraping by, right? Not having a whole lot of money at the end of the month, piecing together staff salaries. And that's not what our vision was when I went to school. I know that. I doubt it was yours either. Then finally, number 3, time is of the essence. Okay, you may think that you can make important changes next month or next year, but reality has shown, unless you want to get caught between a rock and a hard place, we need to make changes now. Okay, so with this information, I hope to empower you to make better decisions for the future of your practice. Does that sound good? All right, you on board with that? Awesome. Let's move on. Now, through tons of conversations with doctors around the country, I found that the most successful and bulletproof practices have what I call the cash multiplier effect. Now, what this means is that they have systems, protocols, strategies in place to go directly to a consumer who has a big problem, provide a unique solution, and then ask and receive a large check to fix that for them, okay, without insurance involved. It doesn't matter what the economy is doing. It doesn't matter if there's a worldwide pandemic or if there's 50 other doctors down the street. The cash multiplier effect has created a Teflon shield around these practices, and it creates peace of mind, okay, even during turbulent times, okay? And then in good times, oh my gosh, look out, right? Now, unfortunately, the vast majority of doctors do not have a cash multiplier effect. They try the high volume, low fee, heavy insurance model that's been pushed on us since the 70s. And frankly, this is a losing game for the vast majority of doctors, okay? It's a grind. I've been there. And it's a practice really built on a weak and wobbly foundation. It's a doctor-centered practice. And these practices are characterized by what I call the roller coaster effect, okay? You may be familiar with this, right? 1 month you're up, 1 month you're down. You feel great 1 week, and then the next, you wonder if you're gonna be able to retire. And these doctors are easily affected by things like late insurance reimbursements, staff salaries, or staff asking for raises, holidays. In fact, a lot of doctors are not able to fully enjoy holidays like Christmas time because they're worried about the effect it's going to have on their practice. And for these doctors, practice is actually, it's a struggle, okay? And it wasn't what they thought it would be like coming out of school. And they're in survival mode. They're not in growth mode. They're just trying to weather the storm of being in business and competing with 10 other chiropractors down the street. And they're trying to figure out who to trust that can help them get some answers about real growth in their practice. And by the way, I think it's safe to say we're all tired of the fly-by-night marketing companies that hammer us on Facebook with all these crazy claims, 80 new patients a month, guaranteed. It's ridiculous at this point. So what's the solution? Well, that's a great question. And that is what I'm going to answer today in our webinar together. But first, who am I? And by the way, why should you listen to me? Well, in 2018, I moved into full-time consulting. But prior to that, I built a 7-figure niche practice. We focused on spinal decompression and peripheral neuropathy. Now, we also had chiropractic, but it was a small component. We were primarily cash, focusing on those 2 niches. In that time frame, I wrote a book because I really enjoyed treating peripheral neuropathy patients. So I wrote a book about it for chiropractors, The Ultimate Guide to Peripheral Neuropathy for Chiropractors. And I'm the founder of NicheDC.com and the Profit Niche Practice. In the time frame, I was telling you that before about we had 3 clinics in our group, still do, they're still going strong. We invested $3.5 million over the course of 5 years, and it brought each of those clinics well over 7 figures per year. So we invested in real high ROI marketing across all platforms and really found out what it takes to drive high quality new patients into the clinic. And now I'm a full-time consultant. And I started full-time consulting in May of 2018. I took all my skills, of treatment protocols and marketing, both internal and external, free and paid, staff management, enrollment procedures, all that stuff, everything you need to build a big, healthy practice, and translated those skills into what I now teach my clients. Okay, so our practices, they continue on, but for me, having a coach, it saved my career, right? Because in 2009, I was broke and struggling. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have made the decision to go into neuropathy, Okay. So in fact, I may be completely out of chiropractic were it not for that coach. So I absolutely love coaching and consulting. I love speaking to doctors and hearing about the incredible results they're getting and the life they're living now that they've turned their practice around. Okay. So since moving into consulting and coaching, I've lectured through podcasts, on stages, in webinars and interviews on how to build these cash niche service practices effectively and lucratively. Okay. So, and through my practice building trainings on YouTube alone, there's over 8,400 minutes of video trainings viewed by doctors just like you. I even appeared several times on NBC talking about the benefits of our protocols, both in spinal decompression and peripheral neuropathy. And look, gals and guys, all this is just to say, at the very least, you're listening to someone that's been practicing in these niches since 2010, has been very successful at it, doing 7 figures a year in revenue. And, you know, in that process, helped tons of people turn their life around in terms of their health that have been suffering from disc and peripheral neuropathy conditions, and also helped other doctors do the same. And in my opinion, it's really about freedom, right? Our practices should be tools for us to not only change the lives of our patients, but of ourselves and our families, right? So that we can create freedom of time and energy and wealth. You know, personally, I love to golf, right? I'm in the Northwest, so it's, you know, rainy here quite a bit. So I like to visit warm places and golf. So, on the left there, that's Scottsdale. Love Arizona. It's an easy trip from Seattle. And then on the right, that's Royal Kaanapali on Maui. That's one of my favorite courses. Super fun. But again, freedom for your family, right? And not only financially, which is also awesome and great, but having the time to get away to the places you love and create lasting memories and not having to worry if your practice is going to fall apart or go into a slump. So again, what's the solution? And in one excellent solution, right, in my opinion, and again, this is all in my opinion, and the reason why is because this is what worked for me, right? This is what turned my life around. This is what turned my practice around, and has always worked, frankly, in the vast majority of healthcare professions, is to make the shift from generalist to specialist, okay, by adding highly profitable niches or cash services to your practice, like spinal decompression or peripheral neuropathy or knee pain or functional medicine, nutrition, weight loss, you know, you name it. And when you do this, you're really leaving the old way of practicing behind, okay, and joining the new era of chiropractic. So what's the old way of practicing? Well, the old way is basically what we've been taught in every seminar since the 60s or 70s, right? High volume, treat as many patients as possible, heavy insurance base, low fees, lots of paperwork. Yuck. It's hard on the body, right? Leaning over and adjusting patients all day long. It's like your hamster on a wheel. There's never enough new patients. Can I get 40 new patients? Can I get 60? Can I get 80? Goodness gracious. I don't want to treat 80 new patients a month. Seen as a commodity, okay? When there is a lot of options for what you treat, and what we treat as a traditional chiropractor in the old model is common neck and back pain, car accidents, you know, that type of slips and falls, work injuries. These are all conditions that typically have tons of options. You can Advil, right? For $5, you can dull the pain. You can go to sleep. You can do nothing. You can buy some pills, potions, and lotions on Amazon. You can buy some gizmos and gadgets on the internet. You can go to a medical doctor. You can go to a physical therapist. You can go to a massage therapist. You can go to 5 other chiropractors. There are lots of options for common neck and back pain. And by the way, very low buyout at the end when you want to sell the practice. This thing you put 20 or 40 years of your life into, you now are selling for 75 cents on the dollar. Okay. That's the old way. And you know what? It hasn't worked, guys. I'm sorry, but it has not worked because we are still kind of where we've always been at. And that's what's so frustrating to me. So what is the new era of chiropractic? What I call the new era of chiropractic? Well, it's lower volume. It's high case fees in the $4,000 to $7,000 range. It's cash driven. Okay, we're going straight to consumer. Forget the insurance companies. It's easy on the body, right? Because we're going to use our mind and expertise to evaluate and recommend treatment protocols for the patients, and we're going to let other people and technology do the work, right? It gives you time to think and strategize and actually run a business. There's plenty of new patients, right? Because again, if you just get 10 or 15 or 20, you're in the top like 1 to 3% of earners in our profession. So you don't need 80 new patients to make a great living. And we are seen as a specialist, okay? We're a specialist. We specialize in disc conditions or neuropathy or knee pain, okay? And by the way, there's a high value at buyout because this is not doctor driven. The next doctor that buys your practice is not buying a bunch of files. That's what they pay 75 cents on the dollar for, okay? This is a protocol driven practice. This is, we have systems to drive new patients in, enroll them into care, and let the treatment protocols, the technology and the equipment and the existing staff do the work, okay? That is appealing to a business-minded person and they will pay for it. That's the new era of chiropractic. Like Dr. Kasu in Virginia, okay? Stuck in this volume insurance model, before profit niche, no cash niche revenue, right? After 45 days, we added an additional $23,000 per month in cash revenue. Or Dr. Hofling in Wisconsin, we ran just one ad for his newspaper. And this was to the peripheral neuropathy niche, $63,000 in revenue, one ad, right? That's how you create riches and niches, okay? You identify a key niche, one where people are desperate for a solution, right? And there's very little options available that are non-surgical or drug-free, right? Such as spinal decompression for disc problems or peripheral neuropathy or chronic knee pain. These are the gold mines, okay? Now, does that sound interesting, right? I hope so. If it does, great, because the next step is, how do you make that shift? Okay. How do you become an in-demand expert? And by the way, we're getting to the marketing. Don't worry about that. But these are the fundamental keys that we have to get in place if we want, because in other words, you don't want to pour a bunch of money into marketing and drive all these new patients in your clinic unless you have the foundations set properly, because you won't be able to enroll them into care, right? So then you're just throwing good money after bad. Don't do that. Get the fundamentals correct, right? Then you pour gas on the marketing, all right? Now, so let's take a look, because I broke it down into really a simple 4-step system, okay? And very simple. I call it the 4 keys to becoming a high-value specialist. And let's look at key number 1. So step number 1 is to own your niche, okay? Whether that's spinal decompression, peripheral neuropathy, knee pain, but truly become an expert, okay? An expert on all things disc related, or all things neuropathy related, or all things knee related. You get what I'm saying? And it's actually not that difficult, right? Because when you really drill down on something as specific as these niches, you can master it fairly quickly. I mean, you have the bedrock of knowledge. You have the base of the health of the human body. Now it's just, hey, we're gonna learn everything there is to know about the disc, right? And you'll set yourself apart now because you're an authority on this condition, and there's a major need for people to get help with it. Because when people have a serious disc condition, it just wreaks havoc on their lives, right? They can't work, they can't sleep, they can't play with their kids. They need to get help now. So they're going to look for a solution ASAP. And you know what? When they have a big problem, they want the best available to help them solve it. That's where you come in because you've positioned yourself as a specialist, an in-demand expert that helps people recover from serious conditions, right? This is why I love these niches. Big problems, right? These are big problems that people are desperate to find solutions for, and they're willing to invest good money for that solution. And by the way, please don't think we're ever taking advantage of somebody, okay? Everything I teach and have done is all through completely ethical means. I'm delivering high value solutions that get incredible results, right? That is, obviously the most important thing. We got to deliver the results. That's why we have to own our niche. And that leads us to step number 2. We got to hone our protocol. Okay. We got to hone our protocol so that you can deliver life-changing results, so you can deliver the clinical outcomes that you promised these patients in your ROF. This is hands down the most important thing, right? That patients get their desired clinical outcomes when they invest in your treatment protocol. And by the way, you will be their favorite doctor when you do this. But if you try to dip your toe into the waters, try to sell a care plan here or there without owning your niche and having a rock solid protocol, you will be in trouble before you know it, okay? And not only will your reputation in your community take a hit, because people talk now more than ever through social media, but your income will take a hit too, because people will ask for refunds. They'll know they weren't dealing with a specialist. They'll know that they just got taken by someone who saw an opportunity. This is what not to do, okay? Now, to help illustrate keys 3 and 4, I want to tell you a little story of world famous magician Eric Weiss. And you may say, who? Who is this? Who is this world famous magician I've never heard of? Sorry, I meant to say Harry Houdini. He changed his name because he knew that he needed a catchy name people could remember. Alliteration is always a real easy way to make something roll off the tongue. But what few people realize is that as gifted as he was, Mr. Houdini, as he was as a magician, he was equally gifted at building his business, right? And there's a couple strategies that he used to become the most famous magician in the world that we can essentially apply to what we do, okay? So the first one was that he put himself into a category of 1. Well, what do I mean by this? Early in his career, Harry was known as the king of cards, and he was great at cards, right? Very, top of his game. But here's the problem. There was tons of other magicians that were really good at cards too, right? And they were trying to make a name for themselves. And they were great. Maybe they weren't the king of cards, but they were all very good at doing card tricks. So you had all these magicians doing card tricks. So one time, Harry was performing at the local beer hall, and his soon-to-be manager suggested focusing on this last part of Harry's routine. He'd do all these card tricks, and then he decided to add in this little escape act at the end. And the manager was like, hey, you should really focus. Forget these cards. Everyone's doing cards. But that escape act, now that was cool. That got me. So Harry looked around, and he didn't see anyone else focusing on escape acts. So he listened to his manager, right? And he worked hard to improve and innovate that aspect of his show, and it became his famous calling card. He put himself into a category of 1, immediately reducing his number of competitors just by a simple decision, just by that shift, right? He went from generalist, a magician that did card tricks like everyone else, to a specialist, a magician who performed daring and death-defying escape acts and shows that people couldn't turn away from, right? And they traveled from large distances to see Harry Houdini and the escape acts, right? You getting this? Now, the next strategy Houdini really embraced was the emerging technology of his day, right? So as movies were starting to gain traction, he created his own production company, started making movies of him doing his acts, right? And this helped spread the word of his magic acts, and he became world famous. He was able to get his message out to thousands of people through his movies, all right? We can translate that into marketing. Now, let's look at step number 3. How does this relate to us? Because Harry Houdini was a master at marketing, okay? And one of the most important aspects of any chiropractic practice is generating new patients. And again, thank goodness we don't have to generate 80 new patients to make a great living. This doesn't mean you have to go back and get a marketing degree. That's not what I'm saying, okay? But it does mean that taking the reins of new patient generation, making it a priority for you and your practice, will lead to much better results, okay? And the good news, when you're a specialist and you're targeting a very specific patient with a very specific condition, you can get laser focused, right? And speak to them and them only, and then position yourself above everybody else. And by the way, your marketing dollars go much farther because there's so much less competition. So it really comes down to what are all the avenues available to you that could reach your target market? What is your marketing budget that you can reasonably invest to generate consultations, and then you implement? Now, by the way, we're going to go into the specifics on this. Don't worry, we're going to give you all the details on the different campaigns that you should be doing to generate these high value new patients. But in 2009, after I decided to specialize in peripheral neuropathy, I went to half price books, right? Because I had no money at the time. But I bought every book they had on marketing, okay? And that's when it became dangerous, right? I had a high value protocol that people were desperate for, right? Which was peripheral neuropathy. And now I knew how to reach them with an excellent ROI, right? So I was off to the races. And now step number 4 of the keys to becoming a specialist, going from generalist to specialist, making that shift, is you got to do what you do best, performing consultations, right? Now, by the way, I call a consultation is the whole kit and caboodle, right? It's your consult, exam, and report of findings, right? So evaluating these patients, presenting high value care plans, and enrolling them into care, right? And it gets even better because once they're under care, again, you let the therapies do the work, right? Less stress and strain on your body, more utilizing the expertise you've built up over the years to help people desperate for a solution. This is how we leverage expertise to create freedom of time, energy, and wealth. How cool is that? Because when you find a big enough problem and then provide a unique and effective solution, that equals exponential growth and success. Like Dr. Udine, he made that shift, right? He was successful, but stuck and starting to feel it physically, which I'm sure you may be able to understand. And he was smartly looking to the future and thought, hey, how can I leverage my expertise and create an additional source of revenue within his practice and that aligned with his practice? Well, he had a great decompression table, but it was gathering dust. And, it's unfortunately not all these decompression table companies have the best training. But regardless, when we started working together, in January alone, he made an additional $18,000 in cash, right? So when he combined that with his traditional practice revenue, it's the most he'd made in a month ever, right? Or Dr. Radican. Before meeting me, Dr. Radican had already made the shift. In fact, he was one of the early adopters of stem cell. And he had an excellent protocol for knee pain and neuropathy. Now we needed to focus on generating consultations and performing consultations, right? So our first month working together, which was December of 2019, we were able to generate 5 to 6 new paid patients a week, guys. Okay. And each of those patients, $4,000 a pop. So remember this, the cash multiplier effect. When you make the shift from generalist to specialist, when you own a niche and you hone your protocol, these are the first steps to creating the cash multiplier effect. But none of it works if we don't have the marketing. Okay, this is why I put such an emphasis on for myself to learn it. But marketing to create high value, high quality patients that view you as an expert and are willing to invest $4,000 to $6,000 for your treatment protocol. And doctors usually ask me, hey, how the heck do you get these new high quality patients? Well, regardless of the medium that you utilize, whether it's direct mail or Facebook or Google or newspaper, radio, TV, doesn't really matter, right? When you utilize what I call education first advertising, you give the public the tools to make a well-informed decision. You lead with value, right? And when you lead with value, you activate the law of reciprocity, right? Very important. You see, when you teach from a place of expertise and you actually know what you're talking about, you are then perceived as the expert, the specialist, the leader, the teacher, right? And anytime someone has a big problem that they want to solve, again, they want to go to the best if they can afford it. And sometimes even when they can't, right? So to really illustrate this properly, I want to deliver a ton of value here. So you actually may even want to get a pad and pen out right now for this section, because I'm going to walk you through my Fortune 5-pack marketing strategy that will easily generate 10 to 20 high value patients each and every month. Okay. So again, this is part of a private training I recently did for my members. And again, it's the Fortune 5-pack of marketing strategies to generate 10 to 20 high quality and high value new patients each and every month. I'm going to take a quick drink of water and then we're going to dive in. All right, awesome. So our Fortune 5 marketing metrics. We got to figure out, we need to lay in the foundation here. What are our metrics? What's our data points, right? So first of all, we're going to take an average care plan price of $5,000. Now that is by and large the average cash care plan price for spinal decompression, peripheral neuropathy, knee pain, you name it. Now it may be a little lower in more rural areas. It may be a little higher in more urban areas, but regardless, it's about $5,000. And that's not by the way, if you're thinking, oh, I don't know if people in my area will pay $5,000. Yes, they will. Trust me, they will. Don't worry about that. That is the least of your worries. Okay. Now, conversion rate, 50%. You should, if you're getting, good quality patients coming in your office, you should easily close at 50%. So we're going to use that. And then also consistency, quality, those two things equal momentum. So I want you to kind of just keep that in mind. Number one, so this is the first of 5. We're going to use what's called email Nirvana, right? And the goal here is to build your list of patients on your email list as if you were building a treasure chest with a whole bunch of gold in it. Okay. I know you may not think this way, but this is, again, I'm trying to kind of teach you here. This is where you want to be moving to. It's okay if you don't have a big email list now. You may only have, 3, a few hundred on it. It doesn't matter. Make it your goal, right? Starting tomorrow, start putting all your existing patients, have a staff member, go through all of your past patient lists and make sure everyone that has an email that they, put onto their paperwork, that's going to go into your patient database. You're going to start to email them once a week. Okay. And every time you email them, you are going to provide value. Okay. And when I say value, these are things that they can do and get good results from, right? 3 things to do after getting into a car accident, 5 stretches to do at night to alleviate back pain. 3 ways to differentiate between a disc problem and a common sprain or strain. Those are value-based emails, okay? They're focused on your niche, right? So those are obviously all if you were going to do spinal decompression for disc. So you would do the same thing for a peripheral neuropathy or knee pain. Focused information, right? And good quality value that they can't just, Google in 2 minutes, right? And then you always have a call to action at the end, right? Very simple. Hey, if this is something that you would like help with, please call our office at blah, 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 or click here to schedule online. That's it. Super simple, right? It's a what we call a soft call to action. We're going to give value, 90% value, 10% call to action. And now what can we expect from this? Well, if we have about 1,000 subscribers, okay, 1,000 people on our email list, and we're going to email them every single week consistently and deliver value, we can expect about 4 new patients a month. Okay, so at $5,000, that's $20,000 in revenue. And you may be thinking, wow, maybe I should start building my list. Yes, you should, right? Because if we have 1,000 people receiving our emails every single week, and we get about a 30% open rate, which is a common open rate when you communicate regularly with your audience. So you have a 30% open rate. So that's 300 people every single week that see your message, right, and resonate with it. All we want out of that is 2 consults and 1 new patient, right? Does that seem crazy? Because it's not, right? Because 1% of, so 300, 1% would be 3. So again, these are very conservative numbers, guys. That's my whole point here. So email Nirvana, build your email list. Okay, get consistent, right? And again, consistency and quality will equal momentum. Will you get 4 new patients your first month? No, I'm not saying that. I'm always conservative in my estimates. What I'm saying is if you do this consistent, say you do this over 90 days or 120 days, that's when you'll start to see these numbers. Okay, it's worth it. Build up your email list. Email them once a week. It's you write the email. You don't do this. You don't farm this out. This isn't your social media company doing this. You sit down 30 minutes on a Friday or whatever day you have off, and you write this really good value post, break it up so it's easy to read. You're going to start to see great results. So that's email Nirvana. Number 2, organic Facebook fan page, what we call social love. We got to share the love, guys, 3 times per week. Okay. Again, if you want to have your social media company, or there's a million of them out there, but if you want to have your social media company put up the pretty pictures and the little quotes and all that type of stuff, that's fine. That's totally fine. But they don't really resonate that much, to be honest with you. And what we want to do is we want to connect. That's why people are on social media. People are so distanced these days. So they're looking for connections through social media. When they start to see a doctor that's actually posting, that's when the connection grows, because they're going to engage, they're going to laugh, or they're going to like it, or they're going to make a comment, and you're going to respond, and people see, wow, the doctor's actually responding. That's so cool. Okay, 3 times a week. And again, got to provide value in the form of education, hope, or both. Again, we're going to be focusing information on your niche. And here's how I'd lay it out. Monday, you're going to put a picture of either you or a staff member or a patient, or your office, or just some nice picture, and you're going to put some type of quote about health or something about hope, right? And it's kind of nice to have a picture of you, because then the patients start to connect with you, right? So you could just literally one day you can have your staff member say, hey, I want you to take pictures of me all around the office for one day. I want 50 photos. And don't tell me that you're going to take the picture. Just do it, right? Get me writing notes. Get me adjusting. Get me, putting a patient on spinal decompression. Put me consulting with a patient, greeting a patient. Just get a ton of photos. And then what you do, you go to canva.com, canva.com, and you put that picture of you, and then you fade it, right? And then you put a quote over it. That is here, because they're connecting with you. They're seeing the doctor doing his work. You have a cool quote it could be a Martin Luther King quote. It could be, a Hippocrates quote. It could, you know what I'm saying? Something hopeful or something about health. That's your quote picture. And that's that you do that on Monday. Wednesday, testimonials, video, written, doesn't matter. You're doing testimonials on Wednesday. Friday, you're doing lives. You're going Facebook Live. And by the way, I recommend using Facebook for your social media channel. You can, if you're really adept at Instagram and you're getting traction there, great, do Instagram. But Twitter, don't do Twitter, don't do Snapchat, don't do LinkedIn. Just Facebook is really the best one. That's where most people are at, and it has the best tools for what we want to do. So on Friday, I recommend doing Facebook Live. And you know what? You're going to talk about the same darn thing you just wrote about in your email. So we are repurposing content here. I don't want you to recreate the wheel, right? And if you're not comfortable with your Facebook Lives, that's okay. Okay, don't worry about it. Get in front of your computer, press record and to go live, and just do it. Okay, just do it, because it's a skill set like any other, and you will get better. And you just have to structure it out. Hey, this is Dr. Leone, coming to you live from, New Life Wellness. Today, I want to talk about the 5 stretches that you can do at the end of every day to minimize your chronic back pain. How does that sound? Great. Awesome. Now, if you have any questions as I go through this, just put them in the chat box. Number 1, and then you go into it. And then after number 5, you go, hey, by the way, if this is something you're suffering from, don't suffer in silence. Call my office. Gosh. And, or you could visit. We even have an online scheduling. Go to here, put that in the first comment, blah, blah, blah. That's your soft call to action. So you're delivering value. You're focusing this information on your niche. And then again, you have a soft call to action at the end. And you can, if you want, then if you find good ones that people are kind of reacting to, you can even boost them, for $20 or $50 to your fans on your fan page and their friends. So now, again, if you get consistent with this and you're posting 3 times a week, you're doing your lives, you're providing good value, 2 new patients a month. Okay, not a lot, not a big deal. All right, so that's organic Facebook fan page. Again, guys, consistency, value equals momentum. Now, internal workshops. We're going to call this internal love. We're sharing the love. Now, we just want to hold 1 per month and do it like the last Tuesday or Wednesday. Usually Tuesday, right? Because Wednesdays there can be church things, functions. Thursday, people are kind of getting ready for the weekend. They don't really want to go to a doctor's office, I don't think. Friday, throw that out. So Tuesday and Monday, forget it. Monday's Monday. I mean, I like Mondays; they're fine with me, but most people don't like Mondays. So do a Tuesday. That seems to work best. Now, we're just going to do 1 a month. Okay, just 1 per month, because if you do it too much, then it turns into a grind, right? It's stressful on you, it's stressful on the staff. So just do 1 per month. We're going to promote it 2 weeks prior. So say it's Tuesday the 25th. Well, just go back 2 weeks prior to the 15th, or if you want to go, you can do 10 days prior, 2 full weeks prior, 14 days, but it doesn't matter. 2 weeks prior, start promoting it. Promote it in the office, right? Get those little cheap sign stands at Staples or Office Depot, whatever. Have your staff member design a super simple sign that says, "Hey, chronic low back pain workshop, this Tuesday, the 25th," and put those all over the office. Buy 10 of them, put them all over the office. And then you just set them out, right? And put them in your email. Right. So in the 2 weeks prior, you're going to say, "Hey, by the way, did you know that in your PS, by the way, did you know we have a chronic low back pain workshop at the office? Give our office a call or click here to sign up." Facebook, post it on your Facebook, right? 2 weeks leading up. Postcards. If you want to put a little money into it, if you have 1,000 people on your list of active patients, you can usually do postcards for about 50 cents a card, right? So $500. Dump $500 into promoting your internal workshop. If you do a newsletter, which most doctors' offices don't, but if you do, put it in your newsletter. Okay. Your presentation is going to be based on your niche, obviously. So, and do your presentation. Now, I obviously have tons of training on how to do successful internal workshops, but speaker training and staff training, all that type of stuff. But the goal here is just keep it simple. Okay, we're not looking for a ton of we're not looking for 20 people to show up, by the way. Okay, so if your office isn't huge, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if I have enough space, blah blah blah." Don't worry about it. Okay, we're only looking for about 8 people to show up and 6 to make appointments. Okay, and then we want to close a little bit more, a little higher rate, because these are warm patient leads. Okay, so we're going to call that 4 new patients. And again, keep it simple and keep it powerful. In other words, your message, your presentation should be about 20 minutes. Then you have a nice little 30-second transition into your close. Okay, and your close is where you're going to ask them to sign up for a paid consultation, right? Or you could do a free consultation with a paid exam, however you want to do that. Point being, keep it simple, keep it powerful. You just don't serve food. Okay, just do water, cold water bottles. That's all you need to do. If you want to do a snack, keep it super simple. But you don't need to, right? We're going to do these right after you close, and so patients can get home for dinner. But with all that promotion, right, internally with your in-office, your email, your Facebook, your postcards, etc., you should, if you're doing 100 visits a week at a minimum, you should easily be able to get 8 people to show up. You get 6 to make appointments. You should, that's a pretty common conversion, right? If in any type of workshops, I've done a million of them, but you should get about 75% to make appointments of the prospective patients, not their staff. You don't count their spouse or anything like that, but you get 8 people to show, 6 make appointments, and you close 4 of the 6. Again, we have a little higher close rate because we have these are patients that already know, like, and trust us. 20 grand in revenue. How cool is that? Let's move on. Number 4, paid Facebook ads. This is how we can scale up, okay, and really start crushing. Now, again, starts with education first advertising. Now, what the heck is that? What that means is from start to finish in our advertising process, so from the ad to the landing page to the follow-up funnel to the web, we have a webinar, we have our follow-up emails and texts, all have information that is continuing to educate the patient, position you as an expert, and always have a call to action. That's education first advertising, right? We're teaching them. We're telling them why what we do is so much better than everything else that they've either tried or they're considering. It's just crucial, right? It positions the doctor as an expert. For Facebook ads, I like to drive to a webinar funnel. And again, what that means is we're going to do education first Facebook ads, and what that looks like, they're just long form ads, right? So right from the get-go, if someone's like, I don't want to read all that, well, you know what? Then they're probably not a good candidate because they're not that serious. So someone's going to read the whole thing. They're going to start to learn about their condition, right? They're going to start to learn what is 1 or 2 things that, gosh, I've tried that you're right. Yeah, that doesn't work. And they're going to click on it. Then they're going to go to your landing page, right? Then they're going to learn a little bit more. Then they're going to enroll to get their free consultation or whatever the thing is. And then as soon as they get to that thank you page, boom, they get hit with our webinar, 18-minute webinar, right? Again, now we get serious about our education. We go soup to nuts on all things disc conditions, right? Or all things neuropathy related, or all things knee pain related, and all moving them into this position where they see you as the best, most viable solution, because you are, right? And then the drive to action is to call the office. And again, they're going to get follow-up emails and texts and all that good stuff. But our goal is to get them to pick up the phone and call your office. And those are gold, right? And then we'll top it. We usually top that off with a traffic flood campaign. So again, if you're saying, well, how do I implement this with my current Facebook marketing company? Tell them this stuff. Again, I hope you're taking notes. Now, what is a traffic flood campaign? Well, traffic flood campaign is a very simple campaign that Facebook offers. It's literally called a traffic campaign. And what they do is we're just going to send patients to your website, okay? And not to the homepage, but to the page that's dedicated to, spinal decompression or neuropathy, whatever that, that page is. And you want to have a lot of good quality information on there. It's nice to put a patient report on there. I tell clients to put the webinar on there. And then again, what happens is patients will just start calling once you run this campaign for a little bit, 2-3 months, you'll just start getting calls, right? Well, I went to your website, saw it there. And then that's kind of a nice combination. So between that traffic campaign and our paid Facebook ads, which is called a conversion ad, 5 new patients. And in terms of what you would probably need to spend, about $1,000, about 200 cost with CPA or cost per acquisition. So 5 new patients, 25 grand in revenue, okay, from our paid Facebook ads. And by the way, if you want to spend more, then you put more money in the thing, and if everything's working, you get more money out, right? But we're just shooting for 10 to 20 here. We're not trying to go to 20 to 30 or whatever. We just want 10 to 20 new patients a month, and we just want 5 new patients from our paid Facebook ads. What we're trying to do here is create stability through diversity. Okay, you never want, with marketing, you never want just one thing going, because if that thing goes sideways, then your new patient numbers go sideways and your revenue goes sideways, right? So that's why I'm doing this Fortune 5 pack, because I want your town to kind of get like blanketed by you. They see you on Facebook. They have friends talking about you. They get on your email list. Now they're going to get communicated with you that way. In a second, we're going to go through the newspaper. They'll see you there, right? So it's this kind of a blanket effect on your town, where it's all about one niche, right? You're being positioned as the disc guy, or the neuropathy guy, or the knee pain gal. You know what I'm saying? And you become the expert. You become that specialist, the go-to person for that particular niche. Let's look at number 5, the newspaper. what I call the forgotten well. No one uses it anymore, right? I love the newspaper. I mean, they're getting thinner and thinner, and they still like to charge us lots of money. That's okay. That's not that much. But the newspaper, man, great demographics, right? They're older, they own their home, they have our condition, they trust the paper, they read it cover to cover. Great demographics, you know? So this thing is just money. I love the newspaper. Now, I like to use what's called an advertorial format. So in other words, it looks like an article, but it's an advertisement. So, and you can do inserts or actually just put that into the paper either way. But that the ad that, you know, that I've written and write for clients is, again, it looks like an article. And again, education first, right? We walk patients, you know, step by step through the process. You know, hey, this is the doctor, and he decided to focus and specialize in this condition because this was happening to these patients, right? Everything that doesn't work for that particular condition. So he found this new solution, and it's this. And look at this testimonial, and these are the things it treats. And hey, this is our offer. You know, come in and blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? So it walks them through a path that educates them, kind of entertains them a little bit, tells them why what they're probably doing now and is not working and why, and then call to action at the end. So for about 10,000 subscribers, which, you know, is probably costs about $1,000 if you're doing inserts. And on the paper, like if you're actually in the paper and you're going to do a third page or half page ad, you know, that just varies so widely. It could be a couple grand, who knows? Could be less. I have patients that are clients that are in rural areas and it's like $500. So it's just going to range. But the point being is if you can get to about 10,000 subscribers, you'll get on average about 12 people call, you know, and then you get about 8 people that actually come in and sit down and do the consultation with you, and you close half. So you close 4. So that's 20 grand in revenue. How cool is that? Love the paper. Now let's look at our totals here. So email, investment, just time, right? New patients, 4, 20 grand in revenue. Now we have our organic Facebook investment, 0, just time. New patients, 2, 10 grand in revenue. Internal workshops investment, I'd say about $1,000. New patients, 4, 20 grand in revenue. Paid Facebook investment, about 1,500 for both campaigns. New patients, 5, 25 grand in revenue. And newspaper investment, about $1,000. New patients, 4, 20 grand in revenue. You see that diversity, right? Stability through diversity. Remember that. That's key in marketing. Totals. Total ad investment, $3,500. Total new patients, 19. Total revenue, 95 grand. Wow, how cool is that? Now, you may think, that seems lofty. Well, okay, say you did 10 new patients, right? You invested 3,500 and actually, so our numbers are cut in half. You did 10 new patients, 50 grand. So would you invest $3,500 to get 10 new patients and $50,000? Yeah. So even at the most conservative, 10 new patients, you're still at 50 grand. How cool is that? Right? Like Dr. Powell, after started working with me, had the biggest October he's ever had, biggest November he's ever had. And again, newspaper, $930 ad spend, 13 grand in revenue for him. Dr. Kyle Pankinen, after started working with me, biggest week, 20 years in practice, 19 grand. Second biggest month in 20 years in practice, June of 2020. Then in July 2020, biggest month in 20 years. And this was during a pandemic, right? Now we're just looking at 2021 as we're just going to blow it up with him. He focuses on all 3 niches, and his advertising, what we call our ROAS, or return on ad spend, 9-to-1. Now, what I hear from, doctors and prospective clients are things like, but isn't the equipment really expensive? I don't want to spend an arm and a leg. And I totally get that. But guys, the answer is no. Okay. So for neuropathy, you can literally be up and running for $2,000 to $3,000 in terms of equipment. Now, spinal decompression, yeah, some tables are expensive. They're usually, they can be anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000. But there's one table that I really, really like, the KDT. It's 11 grand. I mean, you can literally, and of course they have financing options, but you can have payments as low as 300 bucks a month. You have a brand new table. It works phenomenally well, right? The owner of that company, I'm friends with and I know really well. He was the guy behind Chattanooga tables, right? And then he moved over and started his own company. So these tables work really well. And his goal, and he comes from a chiropractic family, his goal, he doesn't want to charge 40 grand. You know, he's charging 11 grand and he knows that the thing works really well for disc conditions. He wants to get these in, you know, as many doctors' offices as possible. And I do too, right? I think every chiropractor should have a decompression table, right? Think about that. 2 patients and that table's paid off. Now, other doctors are concerned with time. Like, hey, is this gonna take me a lot of time to get up and running? And the reality is that the time it takes to learn and implement these protocols is just a fraction. It's not that big of a deal at all. You know, you already have the fundamental knowledge base. This is a short learning curve, right? Using kind of already existing skill sets. And in terms of implementation, you know, the beauty of these niches is that they're staff driven, right? Freeing you up to focus on what's most important. So, you know, you put in, you know, 20 minutes a day in just learning this material, literally within a month, 6 weeks, you're good to go. Okay. So don't worry about the time. And other doctors are concerned about enrolling or converting patients into care, asking for larger case fees. You know, again, usually around 5 grand. So there's 2 solutions here. Again, this is, and by the way, guys, this is just a skill set like any other. All right. So if you're not great at asking for money, or if it's not been a forte of yours, or if you've never done it, don't worry about this. It's just like doing a cervical adjustment. You were terrible at that at the beginning too, right? It's just a skill set, just something to focus on and work on. But there's a couple solutions, right? The first, we start at a lower price point until you gain confidence with your results, right? In the process. So if you want to be at 5 grand, then say you start at 2,500. And then after 90 days, after you've enrolled patients into care and gotten good results, seen the incredible changes that can happen in these patients' lives, then bump it up to your normal price, right? The second option is a process. You know, when you ask for cash, there's a very specific protocol that you need to follow in the ROF so that the patient will realize that you're their best option, you know? And after sitting personally knee to knee with hundreds of patients asking for 6,000 each, you know, I just have it down to a science, and it's just literally following my process step by step. So, so don't worry about these things. Okay. The key is what is the end goal that you want to have in mind? And then all these other things, they'll just take care of it. All right. Or they'll take care of themselves. You just got to put in the work. So who is this for? Who would it make a lot of sense to make that shift from generalist to specialist? Well, if you're a practice owner and you're looking to leverage your expertise, this is perfect for you. If you'd like to increase your case fees dramatically, right? Because the average chiro patient's worth maybe 700 to 1,200 bucks. Well, if you want to increase that up to about 5,000 bucks, this is for you. If you'd like to reduce your workload, put less stress and strain on your body, this is absolutely for you. And if you'd like to attract more high-paying patients that truly value what you offer, this is absolutely for you. And right now, you know, I'm looking for dream clients. Just like you're looking for dream patients, I'm looking for dream clients. Doctors who are looking to go to that next level in practice, right? To leverage their expertise so that they can help patients with big problems, get outstanding results, and get paid accordingly. Okay. So here's 3 types of clients that I like to work with. Okay. 1, those doctors who really want more high quality patients that are willing to invest in their health and not penny pinch. Okay. Number 2, clients I like to work with, doctors who want more high value case fees to complement their existing practice. You guys, you don't have to dump your chiro practice. That's not the point. We're adding on a cash-based niche to complement your chiropractic practice. Okay. And then number 3, doctors who are willing to invest in themselves to truly become an expert, a specialist in their chosen niche. Okay. So those are the types of clients I like to work with. And here's how it works. Super simple. First, we jump on a call. 2, set aside 30 to 45 minutes so that we can go through this properly. 3, we're going to talk about where you're at in practice and where you want to be in 12 months And 4, take a deep dive into so I can thoroughly understand your practice, what you have in place, and what may be holding you back, because I want to make sure that I can help you. So again, who is this perfect for? Well, you're already in practice, obviously, and you're making, a minimum around 15 grand a month. Could be a little bit less, but not too much less. You're ready to take that next step in practice. You're a doctor who knows they're good at what they do. You truly love helping others, and you understand that you need to have some skin in the game. There's no such thing as something for nothing. Who is this not for? Well, if you're a doctor that's just starting out, or you're currently an associate, it's probably not for you. Okay. It's definitely not for doctors who make excuses or complain all the time. And it's not for doctors that are kind of stuck in information gathering mode, like the webinar junkie. Not for that doctor. And not for a doctor who is not serious about adding 10 grand a month, 30,000 a month, or 50 grand a month in cash revenue. Because I'm looking for win-wins. The better the fit, the better results we'll both get, right? I can't help everyone. So if you're not a good fit, I'll certainly be honest with you, and we'll just part as friends, no worries. But the first step is to set up a consultation between you and myself, okay? This will allow me to determine whether we're a great fit and whether it's going to be a win-win. It will also tell me whether you're ready to take action and really become that specialist, okay? That expert who can elevate himself or herself in practice. And then at the end of the call, I'll let you know right then whether I feel we're a good fit. And if so, I'll extend you an invite to work together. Or I'll let you know that we're not a good fit at this time. Either way, this will be an insanely valuable use of your time. You'll have newfound clarity about your practice and what your next step should be if you're truly looking for growth. But keep in mind, as with all great opportunities, time is absolutely a factor, okay? I do all these consultations personally, and I'm obviously limited by the time I have in the day, not to mention the work I'm currently doing with my existing clients. So in my experience, those who act quickly are those that get rewarded and the most likely to get results the fastest. So here's what to do. Visit drvincecalendar.com. So that's drvincecalendar.com. You'll find a time on my schedule, and then you'll fill out a brief questionnaire that tells me a little bit more about your current practice. Again, that's just drvincecalendar.com. Go there now. Take action. What you'll do once you go to that website, you will find a time. In other words, it's going to pull up a scheduler that's going to coordinate what I have available. You pick a time that works for you. Then once you confirm that, it'll take you to a survey. You fill out the survey, and then you're good to go. Okay, let's start making you more money, right? Let's start creating more free time in your life, and let's get you ready for 2021. I look forward to connecting with you. I'm Dr. Vince Leone. Thank you so much for your time and attention today, and God bless.